Hello, this is Udo Dirkschneider of UDO, and you are watching CMS TV.
You're near Tampa, and that's obviously the home of this. Yeah. And that's great. You could go and play this kind of music there pretty much any weekend you want, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But once you leave Tampa, once you come to the Midwest, once you go out west, it's a different animal where a lot of times a band like yours needs Cannibal Corpse, I'm just throwing a name, but you need that kind of a band to take you out. What is the environment as far as getting out there and sharing the music? Because I'm imagining it's got to be hard for a band like yours right now to get out there and share it with people.
It is. I mean, because like I said, definitely a different animal these days. In terms of how people get discover music, and there's such an overload with so many bands. There's a lot of competition out there, so you definitely need to go with a bigger band to kind of bring that crowd out to get visibility and get eyes on you. To be honest, all the shows we play in Florida, I mean, again, this goes to the connection thing. Obviously there are a lot of the promoters here for 20 years, and then once they kind of knew that even with Chris, we just being in other bands, once they knew that we had a band together. I mean, a lot of the shows we played down here have been pretty killer. Like we just played in Human Condition record release party last week, and that was like a last invite. We're direct support for Gruesome next month. We play with Monstrosity. Trying to think here. Big Sanctuary, play with them a few times there. So I guess in that sense, it's been a help. It hasn't been hard at all. We've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to have these connections where they were able to give us this opportunity.
Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin, and today on the show, we are going to get nasty with some serious heavy metal. The band is Virulence. They have a brand new EP called NECROSIS, which we are definitely going to dig into because this thing goes in just a ton of different directions. It's not, I guess it's classified as death metal, but I got a feeling that there's a whole lot of other influences in this thing, and we are going to talk all about it and find out for ourselves with the drummer of the band, Mr. Mike Petrak. Mike, how are you, man?
Oh, not too bad, Chris. Thanks for having me on today. And like I said, it's a nice Thursday morning here, or I should say, lunchtime or afternoon here,
right?
In Tampa, Florida. So yeah, I thought everything's great.
Excellent, man. Well, everything's better now that I've heard this EP, man. NECROSIS is. I've been, I get people that ask me who I'm talking to and whatnot, and I share stuff here and there. And everybody that I've shared this with, I've said, well, it's kind of a death metal band, but not exactly. And they're like, what does that even mean? And I share it, and then they hear a song or two, and they're like, well, yeah, you got some thrash, you got some deathcore, you got some black metal. I mean, this is a hodgepodge of everything extreme. And I couldn't love it more, man. It's fantastic. For you guys, though, let's start there. Tell me a little bit about how this music comes together. Are you guys all from like different walks of musical life and bring that all together?
Yeah, I think all of us have a lot of different influences, and that's one of the things I like about the band. Because when someone brings a song or idea to the table, it's just we work with it, whether it has a black metal vibe or whether it is a death metal vibe. I mean, we're all from my era 20 years ago, I mean, when I was coming up, there was Lamb of God, there was Demi Borgir, there was, Cradle of Filth, and then there was, the classic Floridian death metal bands with DSI Cannibal. So yeah, of course, I mean, when you're growing up, all that stuff just sticks, and then I think it just subconsciously just comes out, whatever you're feeling. And that's what I like about the band. It keeps it fresh, it keeps it fun, and just like, metal is, it's, there's no boundaries. It's whatever you can do whatever. And that's kind of what we're doing. And then now we're kind of, we dig the music, and we're happy that, a lot of people are digging it as well. Sure.
Is in the creative process, is it one person that generally comes in with something? Is it a riff, or is it you with a melody or a beat, or what?
So a little bit of everything. So like for the EP, so we got 5 tunes on there. So the NECROSIS, the title track, That was already kind of written when I met the guys. When we kind of joined up, that song was kind of already written, and we kind of
Okay.
just went with it. I call that our black metal song.
Sure.
I say let's play it. Let's frolic backwoods of Norway. uh, but yeah, that one song was already done. Bright Light was the first song that we wrote together. And that was the kind of just a bunch of people bringing ideas together. Behold the Bloodshed, which I think is a single that you guys might be pushing. That came off a drum beat. Like we just jammed that out and that came together. Yeah, Bloodshed, Inheriting Ruin, and Cleanse Through Decay. That was like all just jamming out, just freestyle. And that's kind of what came out of it, So, and everybody kind of having a little bit of an input. So yeah, I think that process, and then everybody having different influence and just different feelings at each time. That's just kind of what came out.
Sure. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are still a fairly young band, right? As a band, you've been what, 5 years? I think you've been 4 or 5 years.
We got together at the end of 2020, so during the pandemic, hence the name Virulent. Kind of makes sense, fitting.
Sure.
But we're down here based in Florida, and I work for Dean Guitars and D Drum. And I met up with one of our salesmen that started working there, which is Chris. He's our lead singer and guitarist, and we both played in old bands, and we're from Florida, and we played in actually our old bands Infernion and SWATs back in the day played a show together, and we didn't even know it. But we just kept naming all these people. Man, I know so. How did we never meet?
Right.
But anyways, that kind of we were just kind of hitting it off. He's like, "Oh, let's jam," and I wasn't really at the time. I just had my first child at the time, and it was COVID. There was a lot of stuff. I wasn't really in the mind frame of jamming, and he dragged me out. And then he said he had his two buddies because they played in the band Infernion, which was Steve, the guitarist, and then Kevin, our bass player. And so I was like, all right, I'll jam. And we jammed, and it kind of clicked. Like I said, they had that Necrosis song already kind of ready to go. So we jammed on that. And then we started piecing together Bright Light. And then just, like I said, it just clicked. And, like I said, we don't really planning on taking any more than, just playing some local shows and just, playing around, just to have fun. I mean, I've been either playing drums or hockey for 20 years, so I was always doing something, I was always like a hobby. So like I said, it was just something to jam, and then like I said, we clicked, and it started coming together, and we kind of felt, and we started playing some pretty killer shows here, whether it was opening up for a package coming through town, and the reception has been really great. So like I said, we decided let's push this EP. It is a little bit older, it came out 2022. We're pushing it now, but the whole purpose of that is we're kind of pushing it now because we're gonna push this until the new year, in which case we're gonna release a full length.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, at what point does this stop being a jam and start being business? And this, especially working with Dean, there's a business side to it that you have to, connect to.
Yeah, there absolutely is. And, that's the point we're getting now. Like I said earlier, we're just kind of, I think as any band, you don't really have any expectations when you start. You just want to have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, we're getting pretty good reception here. We're getting show offers. People are kind of hitting us up for stuff. I was like, oh, okay, So I mean, everybody has families, full-time jobs, so it is a balance. We are pushing it hard a little. We do plan on doing some runs here and there as far as playing shows. I don't say there's any 2-month tours in the books. I don't think any one of us could commit to that, nor do I think we want to.
Sure.
But definitely do some runs here or do some festivals and do stuff like that, and do it as much as long as people are interested and want to hear it.
Mm-hmm. For you working in the equipment world, does that, I don't know how to put this, does that cause you any stress or any advantage when you're creating music, and especially when you're finding musicians? Because obviously every musician, whether they play terribly like me or some really professional pros, will come in and see you. I mean, do you as a musician, the musician side of you, do you look at that and say, I want to keep this guy's phone number just in case I need a bass player or something?
Oh, of course. I mean, there's a lot of connections going there, and like I said, it's a small circle. I mean, it's with you meet people all the time. So yeah, I mean, if we're playing now and then we needed like a backup guitarist or something like that, like I definitely like if that came up, I'm like, oh, I can call so and so, or so it definitely helps in that aspect. The one thing that's a downfall, I wouldn't say it's maybe I guess some of the inspiration gets taken away in the sense that not in a bad way. It's just like when you're in working on drums like all day. And then you go home, it's like I don't know if you kind of need to detach. So it's like what I'm getting at. It's kind of hard to practice and maybe get inspired sometime when you're kind of surrounded all day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some other guys in the MI industry, they kind of feel the same. Like like our product managers. If they have to learn a song, it's like when you're work with guitars all day and you go home and it's more guitars, it's kind of a little overload. So that could be a little bit working against you, but not so much. I mean, but then, like you said, also with the connections, it definitely helps, in that aspect too.
Sure.
Welcome to the ultimate experience for hard rock and heavy metal fans. Introducing the CMS Locals VIP app, your #1 destination for all things on the CMS network. Dive into the classic metal show, CHRIS AKIN Presents, Seth Williams Show, and more, all in one place. It's free to get started or elevate your experience with a subscription for just $4.99 a month. Go commercial free, get advanced releases, and enjoy exclusive bonus episodes. Plus, it's the prime spot to chat with like-minded fans who love raw, uncensored commentary. Are you ready to rock? Download from your iOS or Android store, search for the CMS network, and join the community now. It's free, it's easy, and it's the best way to keep our shows with you every single day. Install the locals.com app today and follow the CMS network.
Well, I'm curious about the connections and for you, I mean, even your publicist led me with, oh, ask him about Vinnie Paul. He worked with Vinnie Paul, and that's great. Believe me, I love Vinnie. But I think that gives if that's the first thing that anybody hears about you, that's a very different thing from what you're doing. Has that indeed, having that connection, has that ever gotten in the way of people maybe misunderstanding what you do?
Not really, because to be honest, a lot of people don't even know I kind of keep a low profile. So I mean, I guess it just depends on what kind of person. Some people, like in the industry, have an ego; they need to be known, and I'm just kind of the guy in the background. People that know me, but I'm not trying out there, to flaunt stuff. So to answer the question, I don't think there's never been any kind of crossover or like anything like if anything, it's kind of like when Munzie reached out to you, like, oh yeah, Mike's in this band for D drum, and then people are like, oh, okay, that's good,
Right. Exactly right, man. Well, dude, let's talk about the record a little bit. Let's talk about Necrosis. Obviously, you worked with Christian Donaldson, who's best known for what, Suffocation or Cryptopsy, and bunch of those types of bands, and he's an expert as far as capturing sound of death metal, which is hard to do. Yeah. What led you to him? Did you guys know him, or did you like some of the past work and you wanted to work with him, or how'd you get with him?
Was this kind of a combination of a few things. So it's a combination of those connections, like we talked about earlier. But Chris Defoe, our singer and guitarist, he was in kind of in cahoots with him, and he really enjoys his work, and he made that kind of initial contact. And Christian dug the music, and it was definitely he liked it, and he did a great job on it. I mean, the EP came out, great. Sounds killer. Mm-hmm. And so he did Chris kind of set that up. We did the drums with our friend Rustin. He might know him. He drums for Master and Skeletal Remains.
Yeah.
So he had a little studio in South Florida. So we went over there for a weekend. We did the drums. And then Steve, our guitarist at the time, he did all the guitars, vocals, and bass. He recorded that. He's well versed in recording. He's produced bands. He's recording engineer. He's kind of schooled in that. So it's kind of like a little bit of everybody kind of pitching in. It was like all of our kind of all of our metal brethren reaching out to them, and again with those connections.
Sure.
Just having everybody pitch in, and it was a great time. Like I said, we had fun recording the drums. Like I said, we did that in South Florida. Chris our singer, he did all the guitars, bass, and vocals at his house with Steve, and then we sent it off to Christian, and he mixed and mastered it, and then now we go. We're on our way.
Right on. Well, man, I always try to talk when I talk about releases with band guys. I try to start with my favorite track. For this record, it's real easy because it's the first track. I love this Inheriting Ruin. I have played it 500 times. I've made you at least a nickel on Spotify. So, I mean, what a great tune that kind of sets the tone for what you guys are, because it does explores some different places, but finds its way back to that kind of death metal, in the middle. It's a great track, man. Talk a little bit about this one.
So that was one of the tracks. Again, that song, Inheriting Ruin, Cleanse Through Decay, and Behold the Bloodshed. Those are all three tracks that we kind of, like I said, we jammed on. Like I said, a free jam, like we got together. Like I said, Necrosis was already done. Bright Light was the first real song, but they had like some parts and structure already kind of in place. So we kind of hashed it out. Those three songs, including Inheriting, like were, like I said, just jamming. Me just kind of messing around on drums, and Chris or Steve at the time would just kind of jump in. And it was really nothing much more than other just, jamming and just trying different things. And that came out. And now, like I said, those trio songs, like I said, those are like the ones that, like I said, we jammed together. And I think all the songs on that EP are strong, but I feel like those are probably the strongest.
Sure. Now, how is the music developed? I mean, as you mentioned, you're going to be releasing a new record in 26. These were written in 22, or 21, 22. How is the music different now? How are you guys different? Are you closer? Do you write a little better? What?
So this one is a little bit more, I would say the material's strong and just as killer in my opinion. Chris kind of took a little bit more took the reins a little bit more of in the sense of just kind of getting stuff ready with riffs and ideas. We have like a band OneDrive. Okay. So he was always kind of overflowing riffs and ideas, and we just kind of, so it was a little bit different. We didn't really do as much jamming as we'd like to. So that's how the process has been going. He kind of puts everything in the OneDrive, and then I'll take it to my home studio and I'll jam it out, figure out some parts, and then when we rehearse, we kind of bring everything to the table and hash it out a little bit more. And the reason we're kind of going that route is not to backtrack a little bit, but before the hurricanes last year, they actually destroyed our rehearsal space. The Milton, it flooded it. So needless to say, we were kind of we didn't have a rehearsal space for about from October until February. Okay. Until we got rid at Chris's house, we converted his garage into a studio, but it's a little bit farther away for everybody to get to. So my point is, like, when we jam on a weekend, whatever, we get there at 8, so we get like 2 solid hours. Whereas before, the warehouse or rehearsal spot was close to all of our work, so we could be there by like 6:30 or 7, and we had a lot more time to kind of help stuff out. So unfortunately, Mother Nature kind of messed up our writing a little bit. But no, like I said, Chris, like I said, he would come with a bunch of ideas, and Vince, our newest guitarist, they would just kind of put ideas in there. We go back and forth, and then kind of get the main structure there, and then I would jam on it, and then we just kind of put everything together once we get to get to rehearsal. But I'd say, like I said, the stuff's incredible. I think like I said, people really dig what we did on the Necrosis. I think they really appreciate what we're coming up with for this album. And right now we're tentatively going with 8 tracks. Might have a 9th one on there. We'll see how that goes. But we're going to be at 8. I would say, a lot of the tracks just more along the lines of Inheriting Ruin, Behold the Bloodshed, and what was it? Yeah, Cleansed. Like more, a lot of stuff going on. Still all over the place. They're kind of touching different styles. Sure. But I don't think there's any song kind of like Necrosis where kind of really just has that straight ahead black metal vibe. Mm-hmm. It's more, like I said, those 3 other tunes that have a kind of a lot of stuff going on in them, solos and just, all that stuff that makes the song heavy.
Sure. This episode of the CMS Network is brought to you by our sponsor, Blackout Coffee. If you are a coffee lover, you will love what they are selling over at Blackout Coffee. make sure you get yourself some. The only thing woke about this company is the drinker of the coffee, because it gives you quite a jolt. I am a personal fan of the Brutal Awakening Dark Roast, but everybody's a little bit different. Make sure you get what is your favorite today. Go to blackoutcoffee.com. Use the promo code CHRIA20 to save 20% on your first order. It's that simple. So one more time, blackoutcoffee.com. That is the link, or use the full link if you're going to shop around. That is scrolling on the bottom, and get yourself some of the best coffee that is out there today. blackoutcoffee.com. What is the environment like? I mean, obviously you're near Tampa, and that's obviously the home of this. Yeah. And that's great. You can go and play this kind of music there pretty much any weekend you want, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But once you leave Tampa, once you come to the Midwest, once you go out west, it's a different animal, where a lot of times a band like yours needs Cannibal Corpse, I'm just throwing a name, but you need that kind of a band to take you out. What is the environment as far as getting out there and sharing the music? Because I'm imagining it's got to be hard for a band like yours right now to get out there and share it with people.
It is. I mean, because like I said, definitely a different animal these days, in terms of, how people get, discover music, and there's such an overload. With so many bands, there's a lot of competition out there. So you definitely need to go with a bigger band that kind of, bring that crowd out to get visibility and get eyes on you. To be honest, all the shows we play in Florida, I mean, again, this goes to the connection thing. Obviously, there are a lot of the promoters here for 20 years, and then once they kind of knew that, even with Chris, we just being in other bands, once they knew they knew that we had a band together. I mean, a lot of the shows we played down have been pretty killer. Like, we just played In Human Condition record release party last week. That was like a last invite. We're direct support for Gruesome next month. We play with Monstrosity. Trying to think here. Obituary, you play with them a few times there. So I guess in that sense, it's been a help. It hasn't been hard at all. We've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to have these connections where they were able to give us this opportunity to play with these bands, and then to get more eyes on the band. But also going forward, once we do this release, we'll probably do some runs here and there, and like I said, we'll probably explore some booking agents like that to get us on maybe a tail end run of a longer tour or regional, or do like an East Coast thing. Granted, everybody's schedules permitting.
Sure.
So I guess as a requirement, it's really not that hard. I mean, you just got to get yourself out there.
Sure.
The connection part, is a big deal. I mean, unfortunately, not everybody has that. So I guess, like I said, we're very fortunate to have that backing and have people kind of pushing us and get interested. So it makes it a little bit easier on that end.
Sure. In a perfect world, would 2026 have you catching on to a tour for 2 or 3 weeks, whatever works for the band, or would it be better if you guys got into that 2-week cycle in Europe with the Wacken, Sweden Rock, et cetera, all those festivals?
I think both are definitely in the book, definitely possible, I should say.
Okay.
Like I said, once we get this record complete, like I said, we'll definitely be exploring those opportunities. Especially with the festival runs, and whether we do a 2-week run here or something like that. And like I said, I could definitely see us doing, like I said, a regional thing, rather just catching on a tail end of a tour, a bigger tour. And then, like I said, very familiar with a lot of the promoters over in Europe too, with the festivals, just dealing with them with artists and backline for the past 20 years.
Right.
So there's definitely that possibility. Europe's a little different animal, a lot of logistics to go on that. So it might be later on. I'd say if anything, would be the States here first, and then and then also with Europe, we don't really with us just starting this promotion now. we don't really know what our metrics are in Europe yet because we haven't really pushed anything out that way.
Sure.
So that's another thing I kind of have to get on with too, just to kind of, pushing it out there, getting it to their audience and seeing what the response is. But and hopefully it's good, just like it is here in the States.
Sure, absolutely. So do you believe that the audience is definitely there here in the States? I do. I just think it's underrepresented. I think, like you said, there's too many bands. Not a ton of them are great, and it kind of puts a damper on the whole death metal thing because people are like, they hear 10 in a row that are just like, then they don't keep listening to find the good one.
Well, to be honest, we just now out the EP came out a couple of years ago, and again the project, like many other ones, was just the fun, keep busy hobby type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we started getting some traction, a lot of people liking it, so that's where we decided, like, all right, let's really push this out there and see what happens. And like I said, we literally just started pushing it 2 months ago, and like I said, the response has been really has been
great.
fantastic. So we're just going to continue to build off of that. And the whole idea, like I said, we're pushing it right now, but it's going to lead into the album. And then, for the album, obviously we want to, do more content, whether it's videos, playthroughs and stuff like that, because that's just an important part of getting the band out there as well. With stuff being, so saturated and, let's be honest, 20 seconds or less to get your point across and get people's attention these days.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Well, man, we try to tell people not to go to Spotify. I'm not saying they can't listen to it once or twice, but we want them to buy something. Buy a CD, buy music, buy a shirt, whatever. Where is the best place for people to buy Virulence stuff?
That would just be just checking out our socials. I believe on the Instagram and the Facebook is there. That, like I said, that's all available through there. So if you need T-shirts or anything like that, the CDs is a tough one. Not that we don't have them. It's just I got to copy our CD and my car doesn't have a CD player.
Nice.
So, you can just if you don't want to pay for it, you could just go to the YouTube and just. That helps out, just getting some views on it, getting that view count up helps us as well. So if you don't want to buy it, you can if you don't have a CD player like me,
right? Like most of us, really.
Yeah, and if you don't want to participate with Spotify, you can just go to the good old YouTube. I think in this day and age, I mean, with a band, like you said, it's a business, and in a business model, let's be honest, for the past 20 years, has been pretty. It's been pretty obscure there,
right?
With how things, manage and go. And I don't know. I don't know if we're doing that. I don't think we're doing this for the money. We're just doing it for, like I said, we love the music, and like I said, all four of us have been doing this forever. So I think it's just part of who we are.
Right on. Well, you've definitely put together a fantastic EP, man. Necrosis is great. The band is Virulence. It's out there now. Listen to it, buy merch. And Mike, this has been fun, man. Thanks for joining me here on CHRIS AKIN Presents.
Thank you so much, Chris. Pleasure, and hopefully we can do this again sometime soon.